Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in to another video. And we're talking about a really fantastic novel today. The novel that we're talking about it's a science fiction novel, and it's about a giant skyscraper that is so tall, so vast, so huge that it's become its own nation. And this is a place where bottles of contraband liquor are used to map secret power networks. It's a place where a crowd-funded rescue mission races against political indifference, and a celebrity dog wields more influence than most humans. This skyscraper is the Beanstalk. It's the 674-story setting of Bae Myung-hoon's Tower. And Tower is a darkly funny science fiction mosaic or tapestry about how power warps everyday life. Yes, hello everybody. Welcome back to Seoul Book Club. This is the your stop for Korean literature in translation. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button and stick around for more reviews of Korean literature, past and present. Tower was published in English back in 2021, and it was one of the most eagerly anticipated Korean translations of the year. And it was originally published in Korean in 2009. The English translation was published by Honford Star. What is that? What does that mean? Hopefully that doesn't mean anything. So the English translation was published by Honford Star. Honford Star is a small independent publisher, and they say their mission is to publish the best literature from East Asia, be it classic or contemporary, by working with talented translators and exciting local artists. We hope to see more bookshelves containing beautiful editions of the East Asian literature we love. I've got a few of the Honford Star books. They are beautiful. They usually have beautiful covers, and they do work with talented translators, and they do pick super interesting things to translate and publish. Unfortunately, I don't have the physical book of Tower. I have the ebook. I would love to have the physical one, but I think I've mentioned before I've spent too much money buying books. Anyway, Bae Myung-hoon is one of the most celebrated and prolific science fiction writers in Korea. He's written at least 10 novels and dozens of short stories, and he debuted back in 2005 with a short story called Smart D. And that story won the SF Creative Writing Contest for Best Short Story back in 2005. And then in 2012, he was named one of the 10 best sci-fi writers in Korea. And he's a super interesting writer. And at the time, this was the first of his novels to be translated into English. Since then, I think he's had 2 more translated. I think both of them by Honford Star as well. I'll get round to reviewing those at some point in the near future. So, like I said, Tower is about this giant skyscraper, and the sort of structure of the novel is that it's made up of interconnected short stories about the residents of the Beanstalk. And the Beanstalk, it's a 674-story skyscraper, and it's its own sovereign nation. It has around 500,000 inhabitants, and it's at some unspecified point in the not too distant future. And overall, I thought this collection was very original, very engaging, and often blackly comic in its examination of power dynamics and how they operate in this kind of contained society. Excuse me. I'm sorry. The Beanstalk is around 5 times the height of the Lotte World Tower that currently dominates the Seoul skyline. It's essentially its own country. So what type of society is the Beanstalk, and what types of stories is Bae telling about the residents who live there? So each story deals with how citizens are living in a kind of hyper modern high rise, deal with various influences, the various way that power operates in their lives. So in the first story, which is called Three Wise Recruits, uh, we have the story of a professor in the Tacit Power Research Unit, and he decides to analyze how power works inside the Beanstalk community by introducing bottles of expensive alcohol. And he sort of attaches, surreptitiously attaches these little tracking devices, a sort of a little chip onto each of these bottles of this sort of fancy, expensive and illegal alcohol, and he sort of puts them into the society and then tracks how they circulate as tokens of gratitude to the people who have the most influence in the Beanstalk Society. And his research leads to some surprising and rather disruptive conclusions for everyone involved. In another story, we meet a successful writer and critic of the rich and powerful who changes his writing style to write about nature. And when his editor investigates, why has he stopped attacking the establishment, they uncover some unpleasant truths again about the nature of corruption, and just the power of influence, the misuse of influence. And then in a story called Takalamakan Misdelivery, we have a young woman who she studied hard to get a job in the very competitive environment of the Beanstalk, and how she discovers that her first love from years before is now a fighter pilot, and he's been shot down near enemy territory, and he's kind of stranded out there in this kind of no man's land. The government refuses to act for political reasons. They're not going to send a rescue team to sort of get him out of this dangerous situation. And so this young woman, she teams up with a city administrator, kind of a civil servant, to try and crowdsource help to find him in the sort of no man's land between these kind of rival powers, before before the enemy soldiers can find him. Really, really enjoyable story. Very, very amusing. Very interesting. Very, very dark, really. And all of the stories are essentially concerned with how people are constrained by and affected by power, and particularly governmental and bureaucratic power in this ultra modern managerial society. How power functions, how it shapes people's everyday lives in this sort of highly commercialized and self-contained environment. And this might sound like it's a very bleak dystopian view of the future, but you might be a little surprised at the tone that these stories have. So these stories are mostly dystopian visions of what the future could potentially be like if it's not here already, and what how it compares to the modern world that we live in or might have already left behind. But they're not sort of bleak so much as they're playful, sort of playfully satirical and absurd. So there is actually there is some optimism and humanism to be found in these stories. So to give you an idea of the absurdity in the stories, there's a recurring character of a dog. And this dog becomes a famous actor, and thereafter becomes a kind of a powerful figure within the power structure of the Beanstalk. It sounds very silly and ridiculous, but this dog keeps recurring through most of the stories in one way or another. And it gives you a sense of, or a feeling that Bae sees the absurdity of this world, right? And like I said, we can actually see some optimism here. So in the crowdsourcing story, for example, we see how modern communication technology is used to do something beneficial. And we've all heard stories about crowdsourcing. That around the time that this got published in 2021, there was the big Oh my gosh, what was it? The GameStop, where crowdsource, where you had these people were crowdsourcing to try and raise the stock price of GameStop, and had this massive impact on the stock market and so on. And so that's kind of an example of how people come together to sort of do something, to fight back against the power structure. And it's kind of an amusing story about that sort of that dynamic. And a lot of the reviews at the time, mentioned there's some quite obvious influences. So J.G. Ballard, there's some echoes of High Rise by J.G. Ballard. Franz Kafka, maybe some Terry Gilliam. You might what is it? Brazil. There's a little sort of Brazil in some of these stories, right? But these Bae's stories, they don't have the cynicism or despair that some of those creators sometimes do. And I thought there's actually, a belief in humanity here, that humanity can flourish even in dehumanizing circumstances. And just one of the strong points of Bae's writing is just the richness and the fertility of the imagination. You can see at work here. The stories are full of sort of odd little developments and unexpected occurrences, and little wrinkles on ideas that you might not have encountered before, little spins on things that you might not have read before. So just to sum up, we see there's a lot in this collection about power and bureaucracy. There's also a lot about absurdity and optimism. So even the wildest scenarios reveal some little crack of hope, or some creative resistance to something. And just like I said, lots of playful little twists that keep you off balance. So if you enjoy speculative fiction, if you enjoy fiction that skewers real world hierarchies or power structures, or if you just want something that celebrates human ingenuity, then I highly recommend Tower. So please tell me in the comments, which of these Beanstalk stories do you think sounds most intriguing? Is it the liquor tracking social experiment? Is it the crowdsourced, wartime rescue? Or is it the celebrity dog saga? So please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and ring the bell if you want more reviews of Korean literature. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time, keep reading, and I'll see you in the next review.